Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining this presentation. I'm Dr. Anna Ng from Caritas Institute of Higher Education from Hong Kong. And the topic of presentation is psychosocial adjustments of students with special educational needs in an inclusive institute of higher education. And my research team includes Professor Bowie and also Dr. Kwan from University of Hong Kong. And the study is supported by institutional theme-based grant project. This is a project supported by the Research Grants Committee as well. Let's see. First of all, I'm going to introduce the definition, a broad definition of inclusive education. So as you can see, all students, regardless of special education, special needs, gender, ethnicity, and cultural or social background, have the rights to participate in common learning activities within the ordinary school system. But narrowly speaking, the inclusive education can be defined as all students, regardless of disabilities or special educational needs, SEN, have the right to study in the normal school setting. And in Hong Kong education policy, students with SEN have equal educational opportunities. And we have to integrate students with SEN into mainstream school, and all schools obligated to admit students with SEN and provide supports to fully develop students' potential. In Hong Kong, we have the dual track system in Hong Kong. Students with mild disabilities attend ordinary schools, and students with severe disabilities attend special schools. And the outcome of inclusive education for primary and secondary schools is the mixed results in academic and affective as well as social domain. And the meta-analysis of these results find that there's no clear endorsement of positive effects. And inclusive education in higher education, we find that there are more and more students with SEN in higher education in recent years. And they have complete primary and secondary school education, and they pursue their learning at the tertiary level. And in this transition process, we find that these students are facing more vulnerabilities is being reviewed in the whole process. And then students with SEN, they need additional effects or additional efforts to cope with the academic as well as adjustment issues from secondary to tertiary education. So the objective of the study is to study the psychological adjustments of students with SEN in higher education in the following three aspects. First, college life well-being. Second, social relationship. And third, their academic self-concept. The measurement of the whole psychological adjustment for the study is adapted from the PIQ. The scale is being developed in 2015 by Venice. And then there are 4 items to measure college life well-being, and then 4 items to measure social relationship, and 4 items to measure academic self-concept. And these are the 6-point scale. The number 1 represents strongly disagree, and then 6 represents strongly agree. So that means the higher the score, and then the higher they agree with those items. And then the range is from 4 to 24, and the conceptual midpoint is 14. So there are some scale item examples here. College life well-being, for instance, we will have questions like, I like the feeling of being in college, and then college life is meaningful. And social relationship, like I get along very well with my classmates, and I feel alone in my class. These are the negative items. And academic self-concept, we have, I do well in my academic performance, or I complete many assignments in good time. And the reliability of the measure, the compa alpha is high, and then all items, the internal consistency of all items is being proved, at least it is reliable for the measure. And the construct validity is also proven to be valid for measuring all these items, 3 items, as well as for the measurement of these self-esteem and then psychological distress as well. So we use these 3 items for the measurement. And for the data collection, we conduct online survey, participation voluntary and anonymous, and then they respond in 10 days, and then we send reminders 2 weeks later. And then we got 457 students without SEN and 90 students with SEN. And then we categorize these types of the SEN into 3 groups. So for group 1, is around 27.8%. These are physical disabilities as well as with sensory impairments. And group 2, we have around more than half of them. They are having learning or developmental disabilities such as specific learning difficulties as well as ADHD, autism, or autism spectrum, and then intellectual disabilities. And group 3, those are around 18%, the mental illness and emotional problems group. So what are the results and how are they, the characteristics of these 2 groups, SEN and non-SEN? We can see that the year of study, their age similar, and then male and female distribution, you can see that for male SEN, we have around 40%. And then for non-SEN, we have around 29%. And then for the religion, you can see for SEN and non-SEN, they have around 62.6% of SEN are having no religion, and 77% non-SEN also have no religion. And then we have this Christianities, and then we are also Catholics. Of course, usually the Christians are occupying more of the respondents. And other results, students with SEN and non-SEN, how do they compare with each other? And we can see that the college well-being as well as social relationships, they don't different, they have not much a significant difference between the SEN and non-SEN group. But then for academic self-concepts, you can see here the t-value, it's reflected that they have some difference, even though the difference is not too large, but then this is at least statistically significant. That means SEN or non-SEN students, their performance in the academic part can be different. And what about the gender difference? Is the difference caused by gender difference? And then we can see that again, is the academic self-concept. There is some difference or significantly different from each other. And then SEN and non-SEN for female. And male also, SEN and non-SEN, again, is the academic self-concept. Even the gender factor. So we can say that both male and female students with SEN were lower in academic self-concept. So the difference is not caused by gender, but both gender, male and female, are lower in academic self-concept. What about the religion? Religion, again, you can see we find that religion serves as a protective factor for academic self-concept. As you can see here, when they have no religion, the SEN and non-SEN group, they have significant difference in the score. But then for SEN, non-SEN, if they have religion, and then there's no significant difference among their scores. So as you can see, religion is a protective factor. Academic self-concept was not lower in students with SEN with a religious affiliation, and academic self-concept lower in students with SEN without religious affiliation. So this is a meaningful finding, right? And for the groups of students with SEN, group 1, as you can see, this is a reminder for the slide we have already presented. We're trying to see how different are these 3 groups of students. So first of all, you can see when we differentiate into the 3 groups, and then we find that for the academic self-concept, group 1 is the physical impairment group, and then we find that their performance is not, not lower than those non-SEN group, or even higher. Their score is 16, while the non-SEN group is 15.5. So, and what about the group 2? Group 2 is the learning difficulty students, so their academic self-concept is lower than the midpoint, the 14. And then for the group 3, of course, lower again, but then they are the lowest one. So we go back to this slide. So mental illness and emotional problems students, they score lowest in the academic self-concept. And then the second one is group 2. This is the learning development disabilities. And then finally, we find that for the physical impairment group, their academic self-concept can be higher than non-SEN students. So let's come to the conclusion. So group 2 and group 3 account for the lower academic self-concept in students with SEN. So conclusion, there's no significant differences in school well-being and social relationship for SEN and non-SEN, or within the 3 groups of disabilities. Lower in academic self-concept account for by group 2 and group 3 disabilities. And group 3 appears to be most vulnerable in academic self-concept. That is the mental illness or emotional disturbance group. And groups of disabilities need to be considered in care and support for the students. Thank you. This is the presentation. Thanks for joining.